This video is on my religion. My religion is science, which is why I believe in witchcraft. But we're not talking about witchcraft like casting spells and hexing people, although those are definite possibilities. See, paganism, there are many forms of paganism, are considered witchcraft. The one that I believe in specifically is the study of the earth. We should get into the understanding of medical sciences. Hello, puppy. Good boy. The Catholic Church had doctors, physicians murdered for a lot of years as witches because only faith in God was acceptable medicine. That was until a pope was afraid of getting the plague. See, the Catholic Church, like many religions, has chosen to destroy science until it benefits them, until they're afraid of their own mortality, like that pope. Now, there's stuff that I definitely don't believe in when it comes to witchcraft. I don't believe that filling a wicker man full of human beings is going to give us a more bountiful harvest. I don't believe in human sacrifices. Well, not as the Wiccans believed. I don't believe in human sacrifices the way that the Aztecs believed. I believe in human sacrifice the way that Jesus did, or Vercingetorix, that a powerful death can save lives, teach a lesson. When it comes to witchcraft, I consider it science. The first scientists of our modern age were all heretics of the Catholic Church. Prior to that, our medical science, even the symbol for medical science was, well, it's two snakes, isn't it? Two snakes around a scepter. That's Egyptian, believe it or not. And the Catholics, when they found Egyptian writings, they destroyed them. Much like any time they saw a penis on a Roman mural, they scraped it off. There's some things like trinkets. Jamie Curtis, she made me a necklace with ashes in it to protect me when I went to Virginia in 2016. I lost that necklace on my birthday. Well, it's just a little bottle full of ashes. That's all it was. Now, the Catholic Church had their own representations of this, like a sliver from the original cross, or the spear tip that pierced Jesus when he was on the cross, or the hand or head of a saint. These are all just things. As far as potions go, let me tell you about potions. There's a famous philosopher, a very ugly looking man, who supposedly lived in a barrel. And he died from poison hemlock. Poison hemlock is considered a potion, or at least it was back then. Today we would consider it a poison. There are other things like the bark of an aspen tree. They're supposed to help with blood pressure and also help with headaches. We call this medicine. That's where we get aspirin from, is it not? This is witchcraft to me. Witchcraft is science. It's the study of the earth and how we may utilize it. While Christians, well, fake Christians anyway, believe in just the power of faith. If you have enough faith, your cancer will go away. Well, it didn't, did it? You still had to go to a doctor now, didn't you? I hear so many people say, thank God, when God isn't the one who saved them. God isn't the one that saved their children. It was a doctor who did that. So, I believe in the power of words as well, in the power of the mind. And those are sciences as well. Although the study of the mind, even though it's literally thousands of years old, is still in its infancy. That's because there is so much to know. To know somebody's motivations, what makes them tick. It's a very powerful weapon. It's like having hemlock. But it's also much like having aspirin. When it comes to witchcraft, I don't believe in incantations or hexes, but I do believe that you can do things similar. You can plant poison in someone's mind. I'm not talking about pouring it into their ear like Shakespeare writes about so often. I'm talking about whispering it into someone's ear. This person did something terrible, and that word of mouth spreads. And as it spreads, it changes, warps, and adapts, much like the flu or the common cold. Pretty soon, if it's not a cold that's going to affect you, let go through a few people, and pretty soon it will. It changes that quickly. You can destroy a person just as easily with word of mouth as you can with a blanket that has whooping cough or yellow fever or what other diseases did they put in those blankets that they gave to the Native Americans? The Native Americans were witches and savages, according to the Catholic Church. But their medicine saved many lives, many white people's lives, who soon forgot. Witchcraft is very real. Science is very real, and I don't see a difference between the two. The reason for this is because of the very loose definition of witchcraft by the Catholic Church, which is our common bond. I don't believe in Jesus the way many Christians claim they believe in Jesus, and most of those Christians don't believe in Jesus that way either. I believe in Jesus as a man who wanted to make the world a better place, who wanted to save lives, and even Jesus got angry. He got angry in the temple of Solomon. That's the name of the Temple Mount. King Solomon made that, or rather had it made. And Jesus, when he threw his tantrum there, he only got away with it because of Roman law. because Hebrew law would have had him stoned to death right there in the courtyard. That's the women's court in specific where he did that. Those of you who are familiar with the Temple Mount, who've done a lot of studies, you know what the hell I'm talking about. The women's court. That's where people were judged before the Romans took over and would have been stoned to death. And anybody who didn't take part in the stoning, if they were old enough to pick up a stone and they didn't throw one, they were just as guilty of that sin and would have been stoned to death themselves. That's why oftentimes when an adulteress was taken before the courts, her family wouldn't show up for the proceedings because they didn't want to have to throw stones at their own children, their own wives, mothers, brothers, and sisters. I do believe in witchcraft. I just don't believe it the way that people like Jamie Curtis believe in it. Or Nova Wellmouth believe in it. Science can be manipulated the same as anything else as a weapon of war. Using diseases to kill others, or mustard gas, or dynamite even, as a product of science. I want you to go back to when the Catholic Church was persecuting doctors. Alchemy was one of the first sciences that was allowed by the Catholic Church. Do you know why? Gold. For love of money. This is what Catholicism and the Christian religion really are. It's manipulating the minds of the weak for personal gain. Yes, if you do as I say and you believe how I believe, then I'll let you live here on earth instead of killing you. That is what Christianity has been since its inception. But more than that, it's the idea that if I tell you that you can have cake when you die, if you believe how I believe and you love cake, you might do as I say so you can get that cake at the end. Many Christians I know are into the sciences. They're therapists, doctors, things of that nature. The religion is in direct contrast to the sciences. And many of the immoral things that these people do isn't because of the witchcraft side of their beliefs or scientific side of their beliefs, but from the Christian side. The manipulation side, the let them eat cake side. When I hear about witchcraft, or I see a movie about witchcraft, or TV shows, I think to myself, man, what a crock of shit. But once in a while you see something on there that's not. Like poison hemlock, or healing herbs. Many of our modern medicines are derivatives of healing herbs. It all comes from the earth, every bit of it. Every pill that you take comes from the earth. Every food you eat comes from the earth. Every thought that you have comes from the earth. By that I mean we all live on the earth And our thoughts, feelings, and opinions come from our stimuli. And our stimuli is the planet Earth. Our observation of the heavens is from the planet Earth. Everything we use to go up into outer space comes from the Earth. The space shuttle itself is witchcraft. Modern computers are witchcraft. We just call them by a different name. Of course, if we were to go back in time 1,000 years with a laptop computer, we would probably be murdered for having it, provided it still had battery when we got there. If not, they might look at it and go, well, I don't know what that thing does. What's it supposed to do? It has letters on it. What does it do? So, many of these scientists in the medical community, therapists and the like, you tell them about your imaginary friend and they call you delusional. Meanwhile, they worship a creature they've never seen and give credit to a creature they've never seen, never heard. Aren't the Christians the delusional ones? I believe they are. If it weren't for fear of death from those in power, the sciences would have thrived a long time ago. Christians in power is a dangerous thing. They worship an imaginary friend that none of them can agree on. If something in the Bible says something they don't want to believe, or they can't use to manipulate to get what they want, then they'll change it. They'll omit the first half, and that changes the message altogether. It's just gross. It's a great book. The first half of the book is about God the Wrathful, fire and brimstone, over the first half. The New Testament, that's my favorite part. That's on humanity. Jesus was a witch. Jesus was a scientist. Paganism was manipulated and warped by the Catholic Church to the point that people believed, all pagans believed in monsters, false gods, worship demons. In reality, those were stories just like in the Bible, stories with morals to them that are told for a reason, and that reason is a lesson learned. Most pagan religions didn't believe in any gods. They believed in Gaia, Mother Earth, the planet we live on. And for good reason. It's solid, it's concrete. We're grounded to it. If you're sick, we're standing on a giant NiCad battery. If you're sick, take off your shoes and go walk through the grass. Nikola Tesla spoke about waves. The science of electricity is waves. Radiology is waves. Vibrations. The earth itself has a frequency. What frequency do you vibrate at? Christians are sick. They have a sickness of the mind that tells them it's okay for them but not okay for others, and anybody who doesn't believe how they believe should be punished. And that's not what Jesus taught.